The New York Jets on the road against the Miami Dolphins. The other player of the week, Zach Wilson, has a bit of a resurgence in his first start back off the bench. We are out of teaser range now for Miami. We are at 9.5 now as home favorites with a total of 37.5. Adam, this is another one of the big weather games this week. It looks like lots of wind, sustained winds between 20 and 30 miles per hour was the early week forecast. We're going to have rain in this game as well. And we have a big number and a giant injury report for the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek Hill is questionable despite not having played the entire week. 4 of their 5 offensive linemen were injured on the report this week. Not sure how healthy they will be. They had 2 DBs on the injury report as well. All of these things you have to monitor before even considering what to do with Miami this week. And now that we're at 9.5, I don't think it's ever Miami for me in this game with the state of things for the Dolphins.
I can absolutely understand passing on that number. If you listen to some of the folks who know South Florida well and who know that stadium well, they talk about the fact that rain and wind, because of the orientation of the stadium, tend to not have the same effect as in other places. You're not going to get the kind of deluge you had between the Jets and Houston last week or some of the Cleveland games that we've seen. Just have a little bit of caution in terms of using that as a big part of your handicap. Obviously, take it into account when you've got Zach Wilson at quarterback. But then again, look what the weather looked like last week when Zach Wilson balled out against the Houston Texans. On the other side of this, for the Miami Dolphins, we saw what it looks like when Tyreek Hill isn't on the field for this team. It's rough, right? I mean, Tyreek Hill was limited. He might be able to go this week. He might not. And all of that said, I think 37's a little bit too low for where Miami can go in this game. Look, Miami didn't play great on the offensive side of the ball last week, and they put up 27. And so I don't think the Jets are a 30-point team by any stretch of the imagination. However, I also just watched the Miami Dolphins defensively not look as good as they had in spots. This is an average defense, right? They were kind of rough at the beginning of the year. They were really good when they got healthy. Jalen Phillips going out really hurts them in terms of their ability to generate pressure on passer. And look, you have to at least give a small amount of signal to what you saw from Zach Wilson last week, because what you saw out of him was understanding that Garrett Wilson is his best receiver and looking for him constantly. And also, he just looked a little calmer in the pocket. And I think you got just a little bit of don't give an F Zach Wilson in that game. So if I'm talking about trying to get to 37 with the Miami Dolphins offense and with a quarterback in Zach Wilson who at least looked not incompetent last week, that's the way I would want to go about this game.
Yeah, I can't. I would just advise everybody watching to go check the final injury report on the Dolphins, check the inactives, most notably that offensive line. The last time their offensive line was this banged up was against the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was a struggle bus. They could not move the ball very well at all. So it's just, as we record here on Friday afternoon on the Miami side, I just need to know. You make good points about the weather. I have heard that as well about Hard Rock Stadium. But that offensive line for Miami, I need to know what's going on there, and especially Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be 100% if he plays, but yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Well, I was just going to make a slight adjustment to what I was saying. They didn't put up 27 last week. They put up 20 with the pick 6 from Will Levis. And as for Tyreek Hill, you start to run into a question there of if he's not healthy, and let's say he does play and he's less than healthy, where's Sauce Gardner going to be, right? Like, is Sauce Gardner going to be on?
Might put him on Waddle.
Right, he might be on Waddle, and then they might just deal with a Tyreek who isn't as explosive. I don't know. There's a lot of question out there in terms of trying to handicap a side in this game.